Good afternoon, and welcome to the presentation of the Lethbridge School Division 3-Year Capital Plan for the years 2023 to 2024 to 2025, 2026. Before we begin, we'd like to begin this presentation by acknowledging we're all on the lands of the Treaty 7 First Nations. We acknowledge the many First Nations peoples whose footsteps have marked these lands for generations and pay respect to the land that we all live, work, and play. So why do school divisions submit a capital plan? Well, school divisions are required to submit a 3-year capital plan to Alberta Education by April 1st of each year. School divisions will review their facility needs and will determine if a new school is needed to address enrollment pressures or if a modernization is required to existing schools to modernize learning environments for functionality, programming, improve building conditions, address enrollment pressures, or address health and safety concerns. School divisions will look at their facility needs and then rank those projects by priority. Alberta Education will then take all that information into consideration when they are granting funding for those projects. Lethbridge School Division has 21 facilities that we manage. 13 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 4 high schools. Lethbridge School Division also has 3 Christian schools. However, those facilities are owned and operated by their societies. Of our 21 schools, 52% or 11 schools are between the ages of 51 to 80 years old. And of course, we have 1 school at 111 years old, and that is Galbraith Elementary. On this chart to the right, you can see that 1950 and 1960 were big building years with 10 of our schools built in that era. We then started building a few more in 1980 with 3 schools, and then it's been a steady growth through the decades of 1990 and 2000 with 3 schools being built in 2010, and then again our next decades have been a little slower for the growth. When the school division determines when to ask for a new school, we look at the pace of development within the city. And this development will influence enrollment that will happen in the city of Lethbridge and the particular pressures that it might place on existing schools. You can see on the left-hand side the future land development map from the city of Lethbridge. All the yellow areas are future land development. From this map, you can see that West Lethbridge has the most planned future growth. Currently, in West Lethbridge, our space utilization in West Lethbridge is very high, and so that influences where we will need a new school. Student demographics is one of the most important factors that we look at in determining if we need a new school or if we need to address other concerns related to facilities. As you can see on this chart, that Lethbridge School Division will experience a steady growth from 2023 through 2026. These enrollment projections are believed to be on the conservative side due to unknown impacts of migration and housing developments given the current economic climate. We're projecting about a 1.3% increase from 2023 to 2024 and another 2% in 24-25. However, we'd like to note that Statistics Canada Canadian Municipal Area Population Counts in July 2022 reported that the Canadian municipal area for the Lethbridge region was 133,000. This was an increase of almost 3,000 people or 2.3% from the prior year. We know that there's significant economic development that is occurring within and around Lethbridge, and with this latest data, we feel that our enrollment might be even greater than what we're projecting here. This particular chart shows student enrollment by school type. We like to pay attention to where the growth is at elementary, middle school, and high school when we're doing our capital planning. As you can see from this chart, the most significant growth we'll see over our capital planning period is at high school. High school will experience 11.73% increase. Elementary will stay stable, and middle school will have an increase, although not as significant as high school. From this chart, you can see that we've also outlined where the growth will be in our city by sector. South Lethbridge, North Lethbridge, and West Lethbridge. And no surprise here, West Lethbridge will be the fastest growing sector of our city at 10.64% over our planning period. What's important to note is that we have 7 schools that have core utilization over 100%. And so it's really important that we take a look at where enrollment is growing in the future and what can we do to address those enrollment pressures. This chart is an interesting chart because it shows the amount of time from when we first request a capital project to the time it may be approved for funding by Alberta Education. So if we take a look at our recent new school builds, for instance, Coalbanks Elementary, it was first requested in 2006 and it was approved for funding in 2014, and we happily opened it in August of 2017. And our latest school, West Lethbridge Elementary School in Garry Station, we first requested it in 2008. It was finally approved 13 years later in 2021, and it is scheduled to open in September 2025. So as they say, if at first you don't succeed, trying again. And as you can see, we try and we try and we keep trying until we have a project funded. This chart illustrates a new path to project funding that has been announced by the province of Alberta in Budget 2023. The province has announced a 4-stage process to full funding of a capital project. I'd just like to show you how one of our projects sits on this funding schedule. Back in 2021, Galbraith Elementary School received pre-planning funds from Alberta Education. This funding was received for us to provide engagement with our school community and do some visioning and outline some of the options that we could take to modernize Galbraith Elementary School. In Budget 2023, planning funds have been provided for Galbraith Elementary School modernization. This allows us to further along the path to full funding by taking the opportunity to analyze some of the work that we did in the pre-planning stage and move along to pre-design of the project. We're hoping that we'll move along a little quicker because of where we are now to full funding and construction in a few years. So now that we've talked about new drivers for new projects, what it takes to get funded for a project, let's talk about our #1 project for a new school build, and that would be a new K-5 elementary in the south end of West Lethbridge. We are seeing, based on the future growth patterns in West Lethbridge, utilization at our 2 elementary schools in that end of the West Lethbridge, Coalbanks Elementary and Dr. Proby Elementary, that there is a need for an additional school to accommodate that enrollment growth pressures. Coalbanks currently has a capacity of 107%, and Dr. Proby has 73% capacity with growth continuing in that community. Each school has 13 modular classrooms each, as we've been adding on as we've needed to address enrollment pressures. This year, Coalbanks will have 1 new classroom that will be added on to that school, and we have requested 4 more modular classrooms that will add 100 additional spaces if approved by the province. As you can see, Coalbanks continues to grow and is seeing those enrollment pressures. The need for a new elementary school in that south end continues to be a #1 top priority. The plan is that school would likely go in the community of Watermark, although we do not have a school site earmarked yet. There is a school site in the the long-term development plan with the City of Lethbridge. This new school has been on our capital plan since 2008. A new item in our capital plan this year is a planning funds request that the division has made to Alberta Education to fund a study of West Lethbridge. This study is needed because West Lethbridge has become a very unique and complicated puzzle. With all the continued enrollment growth in West Lethbridge, there's a lot of challenges that need to be analyzed. There's also currently 3 out of 4 elementary schools that require a modernization. And when we look at all the modular classrooms that have placed on our schools in West Lethbridge to address that growing community over the past number of years, there is the equivalent of 1,625 elementary student spaces. This would equate to 3 elementary schools that would hold 600 students each. The West Side study would also give us the opportunity to explore opportunities for addressing that space, addressing future space, maybe exploring partnerships with our sister school division here in Lethbridge, Holy Spirit, other partnerships for maybe daycare spaces or other recreational spaces of need. Work with the City of Lethbridge. There's all kinds of opportunities when we do this study. And so we're hoping to have approval for funding for this study that will take place this year. This infographic illustrates our new school construction. We just completed Dr. Robert Plaxton in 2021, and in 2021 we were approved for the West Lethbridge Elementary School that will reside in Garry Station. It begins construction this year and to be completed for September 2025. And now we're continuing to request a new West Lethbridge Elementary School in the south end of West Lethbridge with an estimated cost of $31 million. So let's turn to now school modernizations. There are 9 schools requested for modernization in our capital plan. The drivers that we consider when we're looking at a modernization include health and safety measures, building condition, the ability to deliver today's programs, utilization of that school space, and infrastructure performance. Galbraith Elementary, as explained before, is our #1 project for modernization in our capital plan. Galbraith is 111 years old and is the oldest school in our division. We were fortunate, as explained before, to receive planning funds in 2021, and we were able to conduct a visioning session in May of 2022. And of course this year, in February 2023, we've been announced that we'll receive school planning funds, and this will help us move along on our plan to modernize Galbraith with the hopes of being funded in the next year or two to actually conduct construction. This graphic here shows our 9 schools that we have on our list for modernization, and of course further details on those modernizations and why they need a modernization. Please see our detailed capital plan on the website. You can see, of course, Galbraith is #1. What is new in this plan is that we've added LCI for a major modernization. There'll be about a $40 million modernization on this LCI with the movement of students from West Lethbridge to alleviate pressure from Chinook High School, is seeing significant enrollment pressure in that school with new contemporary learning needs. There is a need to refresh and modernize that school to address the many opportunities that we can provide to our high school students. This slide is an overview of all our projects. We have 10 projects on our capital plan, 1 new school, and 9 modernizations. It is an ambitious list, but it outlines the facility needs of Lethbridge School Division, particularly with our growth and some of the age of our facilities. This concludes the presentation of our 3-year capital plan. For more information about our capital plan, please see our 134-page detailed document on the division website. This document will provide detailed information related to division demographics, growth, school enrollment, community profiles, as well as details of our planned modernizations. If you want to see details about our requested projects in the plan, they begin on page 40. Thank you very much and have a great day.